Boom, and just like that, the time for talk is now. Welcome into the Fury Unleashed podcast alongside Diego Reyes. No Eric Garcia this week. No Rich Burmaster this week. I feel abandoned like Will Smith in the dad episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But hey, stepping into feeling like a couple of great stepdads, we got Raheel Ramzanali, play-by-play commentator for Fury FC, alongside UFC Welterweight, the great white Alex Morono. Are you kidding me? Could anybody fill in any better for two worse abandoners than these two guys? Welcome in, guys. Raheel, thanks for joining us, man.
Man, thank you so much for having me. And, I'm happy for Eric and Rich. They're doing their couples retreat, and hopefully they come out stronger, right? Because that's the whole point of these retreats.
Yeah. It's a BJ retreat, I heard, or a BJJ1 out in Las Vegas. So it could be that. But, yeah, they're traveling back to H-Town as we speak. Safe travels with them. They'll be back on the podcast next week. Alex, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you here in the studio with us here at DNA Studios. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, my man.
Cool. Good to be back. Can talk fights all day, so
I know you can. We're going to have plenty of content for everybody this week. Raheel, I see you're rocking your Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt. I'm in my Bret the Hitman Hart gear. Perhaps one of the greatest matches ever, WrestleMania 13, between these two guys. Dude, great taste. We're almost twinsies. I almost wore an Austin shirt today. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I thought you were going to wear one. That's why I wore mine today. Because, Wayne is definitely going to be rocking one. And the great thing about Bret the Hitman Hart is that he always let everybody know that he was the best worker in the business, and everyone had their best match with him. I read his biography, and I used to joke about this with Ken Hoffman, who passed away last year tragically. But we would always joke about how Bret Hart would always tell everyone that, he had his best match with me. I'm the best worker. Okay, dude.
and anybody else's, if they claimed a better match, Bret Hart would always give it a 4 out of 10 stars. Yeah, that's like a 4. 4 out of 10. His best match is with me. Yeah. Speaking of Ken Hoffman, man, you and I, man, we kind of are distant cousins in the pro wrestling business, man. You had a cup of coffee at Texas All-Star Wrestling alongside Ken Hoffman. What was your alter ego out there?
Yeah, it was Sheikh Ali Muhammad. Or Sheikh
man. I wish we had a picture to throw to right now, man.
I do have pictures. I'll send them in. Maybe we'll put it on the Fury page. But Alex, check this out. So this was 2007, all right? This is post 9/11 America, just to lay this out. There was a lot of heat on Muslims. And me being a fresh face in the Houston media landscape, my first job was in Houston working at this sports radio station called 1560 The Game. And, my name, I am obviously Muslim, Raheel Ramzanali. And Ken Hoffman, who was writing for the Houston Chronicle at the time, he's like, it'd be a good idea. Let's go up to Texas All-Star Wrestling, and you go as Sheikh Ali Muhammad, and, we're just gonna get all sorts of heat. We were gonna be the heels. I dressed up as in a Muslim, over-the-top Muslim garb, had a head thing on. I never wear those, okay? This is so ridiculous. I went to Humble at the historic Humble Bingo Hall.
Humble Bingo Hall.
Yeah. And we fought, what was the name? Gobi Scoober? Is that right?
Scobie Gober. You fought Wildcat Scobie Gober. I'm sure he was the hero that day.
Yeah, he was. And then there's another, the other guys I'm forgetting right now. But, dude, Alex, I walked out and I got spit at. I got yelled at. An 8-year-old told me to go back to my country. It was so ridiculous. The stuff we used to do on radio for radio bits was so much fun. It was career building stuff, character building stuff. Oh man, nice. We had it was a blast. Wayne, Wayne is looking at the picture right now.
That
Sheikh
is
Ali
awesome.
There's Raheel. Sheikh Ali Muhammad putting the boots to whoever this guy is. He's probably a local radio DJ or something, if I had to guess.
There was an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and they kind of did the exact same thing. I don't know if you're familiar, but the gang wrestled for the truth.
We got some one.
Oh man, yeah, check it out. It's one of their better episodes.
Oh man, I'm rewatching It's Always Sunny.
Same exact premise.
It's such a good show.
Yeah, great stuff, man. But thanks for joining us. We're fresh off the heels of Fury FC 105, and what a banger of an event. We're just going to touch on the main card. I'm sure we'll cover the whole card in depth whenever Rich and Eric get back. I know they want to talk about all this stuff too. But guys, we have a new interim welterweight champion, Victor Valenzuela. And Bruce Whitehead. We had fireworks in the welterweight division. They stood, they threw, they banged. Unfortunately for my guy, Bruce Whitehead, he goes down a knockout, 128 in the very first round. What'd y'all think? What'd you think watching cage side, Raheel?
Man, that fight was unbelievable. Alex, when we started talking about that fight and we were breaking it down, Bruce hasn't been in a boring fight since that Tulsa fight against Tater McSpadden, where we called him out. It was a big deal, but he has been in brawls. He has been on the good side of things where he's tapped people, head kicks. He has found this new style. And, thinking back, Alex, we should have talked about like what Bruce shouldn't do. When he gets in brawls, he is tough, but that's not the path to victory for him. Like those brawls, just for whatever reason, he's always on the bad side of that brawl, and that's what happened in this one. He got stunned, and then that knee, man, that was brutal. But damn, Bruce went out on his shield, and he's one of my favorite fighters now. It's incredible. But shout out to Victor Valenzuela, came into Houston and got the job done.
Yeah, the only part I don't like about my job is sometimes I have to watch my very good friends and training partners, not win their fights. And Bruce trained his butt off, dude. He does so much damage. When we spar, I don't really focus on winning. I focus on mitigating damage. And I had talked to him the day after that fight and just given him some like veteran lessons. I've been in positions like that, big fight, and like lost, unfortunately.
That's the fight game, right?
And again, you can do nothing but just pay respect to his opponent. The guy came into enemy territory, made weight, and fought his butt off. And so I talked to Bruce, like, hey, we make some small changes, but like he absolutely will be in the UFC. He is bred and born and made for high level combat sports. And in my experience with him, I told him I had a fight in Houston, a huge fight in the UFC, and I lost. I got knocked out in the first, but it wasn't even a good fight. I just got clipped with a weird punch. Whereas I was like, at least your fight was absolute madness for as long as it lasted. So there's value there. It's hard to have a fight and lose and your stock still go up, and that's exactly what happened. And he'll make those corrections, come back, and then. For Valenzuela, that was his 12th win as a pro.
Yeah, he came in 11-3, moves to 12-3 now, interim welterweight champion. So Sam Kilmer, who won the welterweight championship back in January at Fury 100, is that the fight to make now?
I mean, yeah, I would imagine so. If Valenzuela stays, out of the UFC or contender, then for sure. But man, Kilmer's a whole nother set of problems. I would rather fight pretty much anyone other than Bruce because there's damage happening. But man, Kilmer's going to shoot in, take your back, and choke you out. And he's done it at a near perfect rate since his last loss. And man, that's just there's a sea of sharks swimming in the Fury welterweight top 5.
Yeah, indeed.
I wonder if either of these guys will fight for us again, because Kilmer, dealing with some injuries, we're UFC ready by all accounts. Victor, I think, is UFC ready as well. I don't think that fight's going to happen because I think both guys will get a call to whether it be Contender Series towards the end of the season or maybe a late notice call. But man, both guys are awesome. And then for Bruce, that record now 6-2, you get 2 more wins. 8-2 looks fantastic.
Still very good.
Exactly.
I told him get 1 more win. We're right back in the same spot.
He's still a highly regarded prospect for Contender Series or a short notice call up at some point.
I told him at one point I was 6-3 as a pro, and then went on a streak and got to the UFC and been there for 10 years. I mean, it's certainly doable. He's got some room for sure.
Yeah. Then in a fight that didn't happen, Cameron Graves, Cody Freeman. Cody Freeman misses weight, filling in for Michael Aswell, who got the short notice call up to the UFC. Congrats to him. But Cody Freeman versus Cameron Graves for the 145 title didn't happen. Freeman misses weight, but it's going to happen anyway. But then the next day, Cameron Graves had some medical issues, recovering from the weight cut, I guess.
Yeah, no, he had a stomach bug, but
okay.
It was one of those things. It was so strange. I actually wasn't there. So my boy Jake had his BKFC debut, so I was not at weigh-ins on Saturday. And I never go to weigh-ins to make
Congratulations to Jake Heffernan, by the way, on that
we'll talk
BKFC
about that.
debut.
Darren Whitney also representing Fury well that night, getting fight of the night.
Fight of the night. That was
But I always go to weigh-ins to make sure our opponents make weight. And if they don't, I can negotiate. I don't let my fighters do that. And because my guys, they're always on point. And I'm like, Cam, there's no way he's missing weight. This is the biggest opportunity of a lifetime. Title fight. I was like, it'll be handled. And sure enough, I'm training at Fortis that morning. I come back, missed call from Eric, missed call from Cam, missed call from Cam. I'm like, oh no. So
it's not good, right?
His opponent bust split by 4 pounds.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
It's a little disappointing, right?
So like we have the conversation. Cam's like, yeah, I'm down to scrap for sure. So he's down to scrap. And then the next day, he, that night after the shakeout, he's like puking pretty violently. It was bad. And then I find out the title's not even on the line anymore. And I think it was in everyone's best interest. Unfortunately for us as the opposition, I think for Freeman too, it was I think it was a sigh of relief when he heard, because that was a really nasty scenario all around, and it just was one of those fights where Hill had said it just wasn't meant to be on both sides. So it's one of those things where we book Cam later and then move on.
Perfectly stated.
Snake bit from the start.
Yeah. And the one before that, Ishmael Israelov gets a unanimous decision over Reese Watkins. Justice Torres with the TKO. 3:43 into round number 2 over Shane Torres. Guys, Justice Torres is back.
Yeah, that was awesome. A standing elbow TKO. Doesn't really get any cooler than that. Miles Banks had one in his last fight.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Dude, 11-3 for Justice Torres now. It was a marquee win in terms of like getting back, getting right. You know, Shane Torres presented some problems, but Justice overcame it, and I was so happy for Justice. And Alex, you even said this on the broadcast, like he fought Cameron Graves, your fighter, for the title last fight, and it's like one of these guys. Justice is one of those guys like we always want to root for. Of course, you're not going to root for him when your guy's fighting him, but that's one thing that I'm surprised. Like almost 4 years into this, how emotionally invested I am in some of these fighters, right? Like when Justice wins, I'm happy for him, and it's cool. Like I didn't expect that, because I've done play-by-play before, and I've done MMA commentary, you know, back in the Legacy days. But like when you're around these guys for 4 years almost, and you know their stories, you're watching them overcome things, you're following them on Instagram, you're seeing their, you know, triumphs, their victories, and then also where they fall short and their heartbreaks, man. It's just this is a connection, and Justice is one of those guys for me. Like I see him as a dad. I see his kids training with him, and you know, like I can relate. Like with my 10-year-old, she comes to work out with me, and I'm just like, it's such a bond. It's such a cool thing, and I just can't wait to see him get to the UFC and succeed. Like this kid deserves it.
I heard she benches more than you. Is that true?
She will be pretty soon. She's a beast.
Justice Torres bounces back from his loss to Cameron Graves. Speaking of, Brett Pastor falls to Umranjan Mansurov, unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. And then Val Soto prevails. She squeaks out a split decision over Fernanda Munoz. What do you guys think about that one? Close fight?
I thought Val won 2 out of the 3 rounds pretty clearly. I was surprised it was a split.
You weren't the only one. There were some coaches in the cage that had some questions about that one too.
A lot of clinching in that fight, but I mean, beat a 9-2 prospect. That's always impressive.
Yeah, improves her stock.
Val, she does. You know, like she has a style that will grind opponents out. She's comfortable going the distance, and that's evident right in her fights. I believe that's 4 straight decision wins now for her. But I think when you start having the conversation of the next level, and look, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Eric, Richard, everyone's talked about this. You need finishes. You need something to really pop, because there are a lot of talented fighters out there. And, you know, for Val, I think that's just one little adjustment. It's a big adjustment, honestly, but it's an adjustment that she could make where you got to get finishes. You got to figure out how to parlay your style into more finishes, more marquee moments that will help you stand out, if that's the goal.
Yeah, I think she actually got 1 rear naked choke, three decisions, 1 rear naked choke. It was in Dallas. Rear naked choked another prospect, and then round 2.
But the point still stands. The point remains.
Yeah, for sure.
And prior to that, Terrence the Answer Chapman with a second round TKO over Steven Garola. A dominant performance from him. I heard that Steven Garola approached him afterwards and told him, "Hey, just so you know, I could have kept going. You know, the referee stopped it too soon." And you know, Terrence, of course, responded as Terrence does. What'd you guys think about that one?
Dude, Terrence, what do you go? 4-0 as an amateur, 4 knockouts, 2-0 as a pro, 2 knockouts.
Right.
Dude, I'd love watching him fight. It's guys like that make MMA such a spectator-friendly sport. And I like Terrence just as a man. But that whole team over at 4 Ounce, dude, they've been a staple in Houston forever. I love watching their guys.
Man, he is a beast. I still can't stop thinking about that Eric Prieto gash. Remember he created with his elbow in his first fight? It was
Oh, yeah.
ginormous. It was
Nasty.
pretty disgusting. And he's figured out how to use those elbows at his weight class, and it's so much fun. I'm just curious, like, what is next for Terrence? Because at 2-0, I think one more fight against, somebody with 4 fights or less, I think that's the right path. But then when the competition starts getting harder and harder, I want to see how he responds as well.
Yeah.
I think he's going to respond just great. I don't want to throw any doubt.
Yeah, of course
but
not.
that's where I'm always looking at, like, guys like this, that next level, right? Like when the opponent gets better, I want to see his game evolve too, and I think he's game for it. It's going to be so much fun to watch his career.
Being a heavyweight, sometimes the track is a little faster for those guys to get to the next level.
Yeah.
So he moves to 2-0. Looking forward to seeing what he does next. And then kicking off the card, we had something we don't usually see. We had 2 pro debuts. Leilani Hodgins taking on Monique Dotson. And Leilani Hodgins gets knocked out 105 into the first round. Monique with a decisive knockout win.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know either of these girls, and the movement was a bit abnormal from Leilani. She's kind of moving backwards. I think she was trying to maintain range, stay away from power punches to eventually wrestle, being a brown belt. But, man, Monique just laser beamed her with that straight right, supreme accuracy, like good technique, not a crazy amount of power, and a 115-pound lady put her to sleep. I found it, appropriately ironic that opening the card was these 115-pound girls, and then right after was the heavyweight guys.
Yeah.
Truly the opposite end of the MMA spectrum. Both got knockouts. It was awesome.
Perfect
This
stuff.
might be premature. Sorry, this might
go
be
ahead.
premature, but Monique Dotson, that was her 4th fight. First one as a pro, 3 amateur fights. I don't know about y'all, but like when we see certain fighters, you can just tell, like, they're going to be legit. They're going to be on that track to get to the UFC, maybe, get there pretty soon. But Monique is one of those fighters. I had only watched highlights of hers, her AMI career, but when I saw her in person, I was like, this woman is going to be in the UFC.
She seems to have the it factor, right?
Yeah, she just has something. The way she moves, she was so, calm, composed, and that power, and then the accuracy, the striking just looks so crisp for somebody taking their 4th fight. And then, we found out, like, through our broadcast notes, like, she had gone to jail a lot, I believe, and she's had a pretty tough life and has overcome a lot. And I always look for fighters like that in those storylines. Like, when they've got that much adversity, this is it for them, and they will succeed.
Yeah, the factoid was 3 arrests in a week.
Wow.
Was like the fun fact that she told us, for information. So it's really, I love seeing martial arts as a like a catharsis for healthy living.
Outlet, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Impressive. Well, hopefully she stays on that track, and we can maybe get her to the next level here at Fury FC. Raheel, I want to thank you for joining us. I know you've got a lot going on, man. I thank you for taking time out of your busy Saturday, to join us.
Yeah.
Hope to have you back on here soon. Maybe you can make it into the studio sometime.
Hold on.
No.
Before I go, no. I don't. I just have a couple of questions for y'all. Okay?
Oh hell, here we go.
We're gonna do a little Fury roundtable if that's okay.
All right.
All right. So in the almost 4 years that we've all been calling fights together, and Wayne, I include you in that team because you are on the broadcast team. Alex, of course, man, and it's been like so much fun. It's been an honor calling fights with y'all. What is y'all's favorite moment that comes to mind in the last 4 years?
See, I wish I would have had this question beforehand to maybe
That's
have
why I
an
wanted to put
educated
you
answer.
ahead.
Yeah, I know what you're doing there, man.
I know what I'm doing here. Come on.
There's like a handful that come to mind, but man, I'm gonna go with Josh Van. And there's a couple of moments in that 4-year span where he's calling out Paris Moran. That's, the story that we all know. But then, also his title win against Cleveland McLean, where he has that standing rear naked choke or standing, back take neck crank, as,
that was rear naked choke, that one.
Yeah, right. But, I mean, either one of those moments for me stand out. Josh Van was just on a rocket ship to make it to the next level, and we got to witness it in the span of just a couple of years. So for me, it's pick either one of those two for me, man.
Yeah, mine. There was a man. You guys weren't, or at least there was a Challenger Series card in Galveston that was wildly violent.
Oh my god.
Alton versus Macario, fight
Yeah.
of the year. But then,
Oh, man.
the card in Richmond with you, Raheel, at the what was the
the Fort Bend Epicenter.
Fort Bend Epicenter.
Dude,
that
that was
night
such a fun
was so violent and bloody. My boy Zach made his debut, got a first round TKO. Jake fought Smith and Reneke choked him. Antonio, Cobra style kung fu, snake style kung fu, head kicks Herman Ponce. That was some amateurs got like horribly slept that night. You remember, Raheel? It was just you and I.
I do.
And we had to embrace
like,
each other a bunch because of how violent the night was. That was awesome. That was my favorite Fury. Remember?
Crazy. I can't wait to go back to the Epicenter. There was something in that building. You know, like we've been to like big stadium style places.
Arenas. Yeah.
Like the Oklahoma one. Remember, Wayne?
Right.
I forgot that one.
I forgot the name of that one. Yeah,
the Rio Grande one too.
Like a dry.
Yeah, Rio Grande Valley. That was a good one. McAllen, where we did that one. But the Epicenter, just the way, I don't know what it was, but yeah, there was something in the air, and that card was phenomenal. My favorite moment by far has to be in San Antonio after Royal Rumble. You remember this, Wayne? And Drake Lopez, his brother was fighting. The Lopez brothers were on the card.
Yeah.
Lopez, one gets knocked out. I forgot his brother's name, so I apologize.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on in the night, like I guess their dad was chirping and there was issues. But then Drake is fighting or about to fight, taking on Patty. Do you remember his name? Patty something.
Off the top of my head, I don't. I'd have to go back. And look.
He
was an Irishman. He's a redheaded Irish guy. I remember that. Like he had an Irish nickname. It was like almost an Irish slur. I was like, I'm not saying that.
No.
But yeah. I remember the guy.
The fight was supposed to happen. You did the introductions, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out in the crowd. Drake Lopez leaves the cage.
Yes.
And that
crazy.
was the card I brought my daughter to. Okay, so at the time she was 8. She's sitting there and she's just like on her iPad going, "What is wrong with this people? What is wrong with these people?" And Alex turns to me. He sees that I'm obviously worried. Like, okay, I have a kid here.
Yeah.
And Alex goes, "Don't worry, I got you."
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
That was cool. I remember that.
I like how we pick like legit moments, and Raheel's got like some melee happening in the crowd.
Of course,
man. Hey, that wasn't the first time that's happened in San Antonio at that venue, man. You would have if you liked that one, you'd have loved the one before that, before the Fight Pass deal, man. There was bar stools coming over from the second level down to the first level, lawsuits. Oh man, you name it. It was wild.
We talk about it all the time, the old Houston MMA, because I was around, when it first started, like 2007, when it like Mick really started doing some good shows and started taking off, and we used to be at the arena. That's where I like first started getting a taste of the Houston MMA scene. And Alex and I always talk about this on the broadcast. The teams used to fight in the stands. Like it was mayhem. It was so much fun. It wasn't great for publicity or the growth of the sport, honestly, because we would come back on sports radio and be like, "Hey, it's like a bunch of savages." Like that's what it was. It was terrible when you would take family there and all of a sudden there's just fights breaking out.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. Like as a 22, 24-year-old.
Yeah, pre-fatherhood is great, right?
Yeah, I was in that same boat. But I had to sell tickets, and it was hard to get kids and parents to show up. But thankfully, it was Eric. It was Eric who he locked security down. There was one cage combat event. This is back in Silverback's heyday. Silverback and 4-ounce always feuded. And they had like a genuine, like the daughter of somebody tased the wife of a fighter. And like I remember hearing a pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, Matt and Ricky and I were there just watching. And we're all young, like ready to scrap. But we like stand up on our chairs and dude, chaos ensues. Everyone gets taken out of this arena. Jacob Silva fights guy from 4-ounce. I can't believe Joe for the belt, but nobody's there. And then after that, Eric was like, "This has to change." And the next show, there was 20 cops, and everyone was on their best behavior. And it's been like that ever since. It's been awesome ever since.
For the most part.
Yeah. And the reason I brought that up was because, hey, like, guys, y'all invite friends and family to the shows now, right? And, I invite, friends who've never been to an MMA event ever, like in person.
Yeah.
And they always come in. They're like, what do we expect? Like, should we be scared? And I'm like, no, dude. It's just like the NBA, like MLB. You're just going to come watch a sport, and it's so much fun. It's like every seat is great. And as Diego always says, support your local fighters. Come out to the events if you haven't. It's a blast to be there, especially at Imagine venues. It's the best MMA venue in my opinion because of the sights, the sight lines, the way like the energy, all that, the way the sound resonates. But like I had two friends stop by 105, Fury FC 105, and he brought his kid, one of them, and he's like, that was so much fun. Like we felt great. It was awesome. Like he wants to come back. And I think that's the thing that people miss out on now is they don't go out and like once you actually see it in person, you become fans of these fighters. And I don't know if it translates to becoming UFC fans, in my opinion, because local events to me, like once you get hooked on local events, you're following those local fighters.
Right. Yes.
So I don't know how it translates. I'm sure it does, and people want to watch the UFC, but I think it's easier to get emotionally invested on people from your city versus guys on a national level.
100% agreed. I mean, because the guys are like right there. They're so accessible. You can like see them on the way in, on the way out. You can talk to them in the parking lot or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's easily to make that emotional investment whenever you're right there, that close to it.
Yeah.
I had my favorite band of all time in town. They're from Finland, and they just so happened to be in Houston on a Sunday doing a show. So I hit them up and I was like, "Yo, you guys want to come to some MMA fights?" And they showed up against all odds, and I got them cage side seats. And I couldn't convince them it wasn't the UFC because they had no shows locally.
Yeah.
But they had a blast. They'd never seen live fights before. They had an absolute blast. They were like, that was the highlight of our tour.
That's awesome.
I went and saw them later that night, and we got to talk after. But even for people who aren't from here, they still had a tremendous time. And it was cool. And it showed me like how fan-friendly Escapades and Fury was. Man, that was super cool.
Yeah, I've got friends as well that I've invited to come out and who aren't necessarily fight fans, but they just come out to see what it's all about, and they leave. Fans like, oh my God, that was spectacular. That was amazing. When can we come back? When are you coming back? When are we doing this again? So I mean, it's always awesome to convert people who weren't necessarily fight fans to come out and have that experience.
Yep. Well, guys, thank you so much, man. It's I'm glad I could finally join the podcast. And,
yes, I've been pushing for a long time to get you on here, man. It's been a dream of mine to have Raheel Ramzanali on the podcast. We're finally able to do it. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, come back anytime, pal.
Absolutely, man. I just want to say thank you for embracing me, man. I know y'all have been doing these cards and doing the commentary for such a long time before I arrived, and Michael arrived just before me. So like truly, like I don't want to get too sappy, but y'all make my job easy. I look forward to these cards and events, and it's strange. Like I texted Wayne the other day. I was like, dude, I haven't seen you in 2 months. Like we had a rare break where I wasn't calling anything. You were working, Wayne, but we hadn't seen each other for 2 months, and like it's become a part of my life seeing you guys at least once a month, if not once a week, right? Going back to 2 summers ago, where we called like 5 straight cards in a week or in a month. It was so much fun. But it's been a blast, man. And thank you for embracing me. And thank you to all the Fury fans as well. And all the fighters, man. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are the best. So just wanted to say that before I bounce. Thanks, guys.
Hey, we reciprocate the love. Thank you, Raheel.
All right.
Look forward to having him back on sometimes. I like that guy, man. He's all right.
Yeah, me too. He also makes us look very professional, which is
man. I mean, he's top notch.
When I have to do shows without him, I have to do that job. And believe it or not, I've got no formal training.
It's a little nerve-wracking,
right? I got a lot of experience. I like write up intros and hand off stuff and do ads. So yeah, I like when Raheel's there.
Yeah, we all do. We all like when Raheel's there. It makes everybody's life easier. And he's just fun to be around too.
I agree.
Diego, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Man, he's like chimed in like so minimal, dude. What's going on, man?
He's our tactician. He's making sure everything's running.
Yeah, we're running it raw today. We're learning some new stuff.
Man,
hopefully we can include this in.
I know he hasn't said much, but guys, I wish y'all could see him at work behind the scenes, getting us all set up and everything. Nobody works harder than Diego Reyes, Sergeant Diego Reyes. I'll show you the love you deserve today. I won't hit you.
Appreciate it.
I won't hit you with any massage parlor jokes.
No.
Until maybe later.
I appreciate it. It's fun,
But yeah, man, Eric and Rich are out there. They're on their way back now from Las Vegas. They're out there for UFC BJJ 1, the inaugural BJJ event. Dana White and UFC going all in on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Did you get a chance to watch the event at all?
Yeah, I'm glad I did because I didn't know we would be talking about it. Yeah, I watched pretty much every episode, and then I watched the finale last night. And man, it was great. Anytime the UFC gets their hands on a martial art, it's just nothing but greatness for the sport. Gives the fighters a chance to get paid, gets the eyes on it, and the matches were great. Man, it was cool. I like the belts too. There was belts they either got loved or hated.
They're very unique. I'll put it like that. The belts are very unique, as they should be. The sport itself is unique. I mean, Dana White, once again, is taking a relatively obscure sport to the mainstream, to the masses. And he's putting the UFC rocket ship behind it. Back in the day, back in the 90s, whenever he acquired the UFC, nobody really, paid much attention to mixed martial arts, and he's grown it into this global phenomenon. I expect nothing less with this BJJ venture that they're on right now. Congrats to Mikey Musumeci, picking up the bantamweight championship with a heel hook in the third round. What'd you think of that fight, Alex?
Man, that Harrison was good. I thought the casting was a little strange. Mikey was a great choice.
Great,
And man,
yeah, I
and
agree.
Harrison, I felt for him. Like, he did a great job. He's a great competitor. But like, English not being his first language, there was certainly a coaching difference when they were in their matches. He made the most of his opportunity as he had to. And honestly, he looked good against Mikey. He defended the first 2 rounds really, really well. It seems like he didn't get injured despite being in some nasty entanglements. And it made for a really fun match. But I'm really curious to see who they bring for coaches next time. Like, I know they were talking about Gordon and Nicky Rod for one. I mean, there's a lot of really, really cool characters in jiu-jitsu, and it'll make for some really cool contrasting coaches for sure.
Are they going to do the same thing as far as episodes leading up to that, or it's going to go back?
Maybe. I don't know. That's all I'm so curious to see is like the format of like their shows. I know they already have a few shows booked. Is this taking over FPI?
I believe so.
Yes.
I would hope so. And
Yes.
now it's like one uniformed division with champions. And
there's-
I think it's awesome. It's a great idea. It like simplifies it, makes it very watchable. I love they put on YouTube. It may not be there in the future, but
Yeah.
the fact that like each episode got 1 million views, and I watch YouTube more than anything.
Yeah, so do I.
And
yeah.
so my coach told me years ago, about 3 years ago, he said, knowledge is the key to success. It's the key to happiness. And he was like, I want you guys to learn something new every day. And I took that to heart. And I learn something new every day, and it's almost exclusive by watching YouTube most
Right.
days. Mostly jiu-jitsu
Yeah,
stuff, but a
call
lot
it the University at YouTube.
Yeah,
a lot of
it's a
fun
great
facts,
resource. You
for
learn how to do
sure.
all kinds of things. You can also learn all kinds of things you don't need to know on there too. But it's a great resource to have. How about Andrew Tackett picking up the UFC BJJ Welterweight Championship over Andy Varela with a rear naked choke in the first round?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure those were like the top 2 seeds. I think Tackett was the favorite to win, and he showed why. He got 3 wins, 3 naked chokes. What's funny, I have can we curse on here?
Yes.
If you like.
Yes.
I have a list of takedowns. I call this shit list of takedowns for MMA and BJJ. In a takedown only setting, certain takedowns make sense: head and arm throws, fireman's carries. But when the submissions and damage is involved, like the fireman's carry should not be there. But I would like, if you're a high level wrestler, you can make it work. But man, I'll tell you, in that BJJ semifinals Tackett match, his opponent hit a fireman's carry. Tackett was on his back before they landed and choked him out. And I've been telling my students that for years. I have 6 takedowns on this list. Fireman's carry is number 1. Seonagi, you gotta believe, is up there too.
Okay.
But yeah, he ended up getting naked choked, and I'm like, see, guys, like, there's certain takedowns, the risk and reward. Like, the reward of any takedown is a takedown, but the risk it differs for most. Every takedown has its own risks, and the fireman's carry, in my opinion, is not worth doing. Go ask Gary Goodridge. He countered that fireman's carry with the crazy elbows back in the day,
Yes.
but I am not a fan of fireman's carries.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Me neither. Only in the confines of a WWE ring.
Or,
Safe landing.
or a fire,
Yeah, or that.
And
Yeah.
then get
Or a
obviously.
mosh pit.
and you're getting rescued. Yeah.
Yeah, how about Carlos Henrique picking up the lightweight championship? Somebody you're familiar with. He faced Jake Heffernan at a Submission Hunter Pro 97.
Yeah, Jake got the bad luck of taking an 8-man submission-only bracket spot last minute, and his first draw was none other than Carlos Henrique, who I've been a huge fan of ever since. He's brother-in-law is with the Arande brothers, who I've,
Yes.
again, had nothing but respect for forever.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Carlos Henrique is good. He won that Sub Hunter Pro 8-man tournament. He won his Fight Pass debut fight. It was funny. Every time I see him, I'm like, hey, man, like, what you got booked? I'm like, you making money? That's what I'm always asking the fighters. You getting paid? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, my man, good for you. But, yeah, he got 3 wins, 3 subs. I think he got, an anaconda choke and 2 arm bars. One of those arm bars broke or dislocated that guy's elbow pretty bad. That was gnarly to watch.
Yeah, I saw a clip of that. That was nasty. But yeah, he wins the lightweight championship with an armbar as well. And then rounding out the card, Keith Krikorian defeats Joao Asonitis. Did I say that right? Probably not. With a neck crank.
Nice, yeah. I was teaching class during all these fights, so I didn't quite see him.
Yeah, Cassia Mora defeats Talita Alencar by UD. And then Pedro Mercado defeats Felipe Pimentel via submission with a triangle armbar in the second round. I saw the first couple of matches before my stream went down. Bellamere with a Darce in the second round picks up a win.
She's fighting Olivia Byerly
and
here
she'll
pretty
be taking
soon.
on Olivia Beerley coming up next month. I think, is that one in Houston? I think so. I think that one's
so
in
as
Houston.
well.
Just after our New Orleans card in July. And then Kevin Carrasco, he's going to be an interesting answer to a really cool trivia question. Forever winning the first match on BJJ 1, defeating Ty Koslow with a triangle choke in the first round. Boom, just like that. There you have it. Eric and Rich are out there for that one. I know they're super busy behind the scenes at those FPIs
pictures?
and BJJs. Rich doing the point, a lot of the pointing pictures. But no, man, congrats to Claudia, congrats to Techi, Dana White, everybody involved. What a spectacular first event. And, I mean, again, with a UFC rocket ship strapped to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man, this thing is going to grow by leaps and bounds. You're going to find superstars you never heard of and, hopefully compete with the Gordon Ryans and the Nicky Rods of the world.
Yeah, I also run a BJJ gym, so that also is just awesome as a business.
Yeah, it's a great outlet for you and lots of other
one of the things I
local
tell
gyms.
my new guys that come into law enforcement is I think everybody needs to train jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu and wrestling.
That's great advice. Yeah,
as far as
that should be mandatory. That should
And
be
then
part of the training academy.
But the third thing also I tell people is to learn how to talk to people, learn how to read, and learn how to be patient. Because most of these calls that we go to is that there's one party that's not being heard, and they just get they just go
Lose
crazy
it.
and make a poor decision. So most often you go into that situation, you learn how to de-escalate, let them just vent. Once they vent, the risk for that officer to get involved in a resisting arrest or a fight,
a physical confrontation.
The statistically goes up if you learn how to read people, learn how to just to be what's it called?
Communicator, right?
Yeah, active listening.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the key thing is learning how to active listen. So.
Agreed. And I know you're finally skilled in all those areas, right?
Yeah, I try.
Diego likes to go
listening makes.
Diego likes to go in there and box whenever there's a disturbance.
No, man.
Know what he likes to do.
No,
Guns and hoses
man.
over here. Hey, coming
man.
up this weekend, man, UFC 317, Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Du Bronx Oliveira. Man, Topuria is the favorite in that one for the lightweight championship. What do you think, Morono?
Man, I like both guys so much.
Same.
Everyone loves Charles Oliveira, especially Houston natives. He trained with,
Exactly.
with Makako at Shoebox for a while.
So
down
many
here.
of them, yeah.
And just how cool he is. I think this is like the mindset for everyone. Everyone wants Charles Oliveira to win because he's such an angel.
Right, we all love him, right?
But statistically, I think Topuria will win the fight. If I had to bet money, I'd
tend to
bet on
agree.
Topuria. But if I had to choose my heart, I choose Charles Oliveira.
I was watching some of that countdown video. Man, he is so confident. So confident.
Yeah, Topuria?
Yes.
Yeah.
As he should be, man.
I mean, some of the things he's saying to him, and Oliveira, he's just rolling with it like, yeah, yes. It's like, do you understand what he's telling you right now? you're expecting like some kind of pushback, but you're like, no, yes, the fight will be great. Like, dude, he just said he's going to beat you. But shit happens, right? That's what they do. Alexandre Pantoja defends the flyweight championship against Kai Kara France, the underdog in that one. What do you think, Diego? Who do you got? Kara France, or are you going with the champ?
I want France to win, but I think Pantoja has a better chance. Huh?
How about you, Alex?
Pantoja's like the evil warlord of the flyweights. I don't think
And it's a rematch, isn't it?
Man, it's just like Pantoja, beat Brendan Moreno. Moreno TKOs Kai Kara France. I love Kai Kara France. He's great.
Yeah.
But man, Pantoja is just so good, and he can outstrike guys. He can certainly outgrapple guys. He can find naked chokes. He finds ways to win like a true champion. I think Pantoja's gonna be on the top.
Fight
top
math
for a
is on
while.
his side. I mean, he's definitely favored to win.
Yeah.
And then in the feature fight in the flyweight division, Joshua Van, initially going into this fight, he was ranked number 10, but, fights happen and they restructured things, whatever. He's at number 12 now, apparently, and that's fine. Taking on number 1, Brandon Royval. Title implications have to be at stake in this one, I would think, right?
And that's the reason why I'm paying attention to that Pantoja Kara France because
And the odds are pretty close. I mean, there's no clear favorite. I don't think,
It's pick 'em. Van was actually a slight favorite as of yesterday. It's kind of even out now. So the only thing is, one, Josh Van has done it better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. He is one of the easiest guys out of Houston to ever root for.
Yeah.
I love seeing him win so much.
Same.
Brandon Royale is pretty big for the weight class, and Josh Van's only tough fight was against Charles, what's his last name? Johnson.
Okay.
And Johnson's got a pretty similar frame to Royval. But man, Van was a favorite to win it. He's fresh, he's young, he's got the boxing, he's got the momentum. I would love to see Josh Van win this fight and fight for the belt. Who's the second guy to Houston to ever fight for a belt after Derek Lewis, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I guess Tanya Evinger fought Cyborg for the belt, so maybe third person.
All right. Golly. I'm glad you're here because I wouldn't have remembered that.
Same here.
Fight Encyclopedia, Alex Morono over here. Benil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano in the lightweight division. Peyton Talbot taking on Felipe Lima. And then we've got prelims down here. But where I want to go is to the early prelims.
Oh, yeah.
Down there in the welterweight division, Nico Price taking on Fury FC veteran Jacoby Smith. And look at those odds. Are you kidding me?
They said that's the biggest favorite in UFC history.
God
Yeah.
Damn.
So I hit Jacoby with an information dump. I was at Fortis last Saturday for Jake's BK fight. And I had done my rounds with Carlos Diego Fiera. He's fighting Bobby Green here soon.
Yeah, I
So
saw
that's
that.
Gonna be a fun match. I love CDF.
Yeah.
But
Same.
Jacoby was doing his I think his last workout, and I went and showered. Then I came back, and he was laying on the ground, tired, working his butt off as usual. And I'm like, Jacoby, information dump. And he was like, all right, shoot. And I fought Nico for 25 minutes in total, and I gave him every bit of info I could give him. And dude, Jacoby's such a beast. You don't know. Everyone's like, man, collegiate level wrestlers are so good. You're like, all right, that's words. I get it. Then you go train with these guys, and you're like, oh my God, this is otherworldly. So it was Jacoby and Kyle Crutchmer, the welterweights, and then Nick Piccanini. I didn't do a lot of rounds with Piccanini, but I did a lot with Jacoby and Crutch when they were fresh to Fortis, and that wrestling ability is otherworldly. And then you teach him how to strike, and he's sleeping dudes with one punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm on the later part of my career. I got maybe 7 fights in the UFC left if I get to choose, and I'll let these guys go freaking crush on the opposition. But I can't wait to see Jacoby win. I told him to go fight his butt off, be smart, and make some money.
I love it. That's UFC 317. It takes place this weekend. Check it out. Diego, where can they buy tickets? UFC.com.
UFC.com.
Good time. Hey, shout out to our sponsors, man. OnlyFans. Diego, is that how we were able to connect with Raheel? Did you log in through your OnlyFans account?
Yes, I did.
All right. I'm glad he, kept his top on for that. He's
Yeah.
probably wearing his sheath
I'm
underwear
one of his members.
below his desk there.
I subscribe to him.
Also, shout out to Warbringer Whiskey, the cock of the walk, the big beast of bourbon, DeNunaLawFirm.com. If you get into DWI trouble, criminal defense, if you need legal help, hit up our friends with DeNunaLawFirm.com. And, of course, Space City Collective, always keeping our feet fresh.
Freshity fresh.
What are you wearing today? You wearing dad shoes today?
I got the New Balance, the black ones.
That'll work, man. I got some low Jordan 1s on today. Alex Morono, he just came from training. He's over here walking around barefooted. So
I got my Dwayne The Rock Johnson slides, courtesy of the UFC.
boom. That works, too.
I also have this shorts and underwear, courtesy of the UFC, and then this shirt Jake gave me. I'm not much of a fashion guy. I mostly just give or wear clothes that fight promotions give me.
Yeah, same here. With the exception of fight days, and you got to suit up or whatever, man. Yeah, you were training with Sean Kennard before you came over here to the studio, man. He's getting ready to fight for us next month, right?
Nice. You got that match against Zulfgari booked, which is awesome. Props to Zulfgari for being cool the first time.
Yeah, Sean injured his knee or something in the first one, right?
Kind of. He got cellulitis.
Okay.
And so he calls me. I'm at an event working, and I see him this call from Sean the day before his fight. I'm like, no. And I'm like, what's the bad news? He's like, dude, my knee is so swollen. And then, dude, thankfully, Dr. Mark LeBay at Methodist, the Woodlands, on his day off, answers the call, FaceTimes him away, diagnoses him, helps him out, calls in antibiotics, all that fun stuff. But it was just then I was like, hey man, maybe it gets better and we fight on fight day. It was so much worse on fight day. He posted a picture, you guys can find it on Instagram, but he was not fight ready. Zulfgari was frustrated, rightfully so, but was cool to rebook it. And they are fighting July 27th, Fury Challenger Series. It's an excellent fight card.
Right here in H-Town, Escapade at Imagine Venues. You can get tickets online at furyfc.tv. Be sure to catch it live as Diego runs over to the camera to do something. I'm stealing his plug. Diego, you got anything else before we head out of here? Look at you.
Just go ahead and buy those tickets for upcoming events. One of the biggest things that I enjoy is watching these people live and saying and brag to other people who've been watching the fight that I saw him as an amateur. I saw him when he started pro, you know, and I'm seeing him with all the lights. The same thing with you, Mr. Morono. I mean, I watched you,
man.
you know, going to. I've seen pretty much every fight here in Houston before just when Legacy started. I even went to see you at Texas City in Salvari's promotion.
Oh yeah, I remember the.
So I mean, it's great to see you just sitting next to you and just enjoying the fact that I've seen your career from, you know, not the beginning, but like close to the beginning, all the way to now, you know, and looking forward to 7 more fights later, you know.
Heck yeah! And then the new school fighters like Josh Van, like my boy Joe Hendershot.
Yes.
Kind of, you know,
Love that kid.
following down the old path and making their new ones. It's cool to see what the future holds for martial arts.
The future is bright. Appreciate you joining us, man. And
Yes,
it's
anytime.
bright because of guys like you, man.
Cool, thank you.
Hey, and on that note, guys, the time for talk is over. This has been Fury Unleashed.